The ninth meeting of the POPRC Review Committee will be held from the 4th to 18th October 2013 at the headquarters of the Food and Agricultural Organization in Rome. So during this meeting, the agenda item, the committee will be discussing or focusing on 13 items under the agenda. And the first 4 agenda items are basically dealing with procedure and organization methods. The 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th items are dealing with technical and scientific methods, and then 9 to 13, the rest of those agenda items are again dealing with operation and other related methods. And during my presentation today, I will be focusing the agenda items 5, 6, 7, and 8. As you may know, for the listing of new persistent organic pollutants in the annexes of the convention, there are a couple of several steps to be gone through, starting from party submitting a proposal containing Annex D information of the convention to be considered by the committee. At the second stage, the committee would look at this proposal and verify its information, and then and apply the Annex D criteria to see if it can be considered for further evaluation and assessment. And if so, then the committee may move the product into the next stage, where the committee would develop a risk profile, and then the risk profile will be considered, and the Annex E criteria, and see if it satisfies the Annex E criteria, and then move on to it. So the next stage, that is risk management evaluation stage, where the committee will be looking at the Annex F criteria of the convention. I'm not going to go through all these criteria. You can refer them in the convention text. And then once it is done, then it is acceptable or agreed by the committee, then the committee makes recommendation to confirm the parties for consideration. So during this meeting, there are 2 chemicals which are considered on the risk management evaluation stage. The first one is chlorinated naphthalene. The chlorinated naphthalene are produced and used in many applications, including wood preservatives, additives to paints and engine oils, and many other things, and currently not known to be intentionally produced. All applications seem to have been seized, though specific information is lacking for the current situation. Unintentional production of chlorinated naphthalene can be possible during high temperature industrial processes in the presence of chlorine and waste incineration process. The document on the risk management evaluation draft is set out in the POPRC9/4 document with a note by the Secretary including possible action by the committee. The risk management draft, during the development of the draft risk management evaluation document, there is a series of consultation because it is considered during the intersection period between the last POPRC and this POPRC, where an ad hoc working group consider the information provided by parties and observers and draft the risk management evaluation, and then this risk management evaluation will be made available for parties and observers to make comments, and based on these comments, the document will be revised, and the draft is now made available at this stage. The compilation of comments on the draft and responses responses to the comments by the intersectional working group is presented for this chemical under in 5. The agenda item 5B is on consideration of risk, draft risk management evaluation of hexachlorobutadiene (HCBD), and this chemical is produced and used for several industrial processes. As I described, this also went through the process that I described earlier for chlorine naphthalene, and this is also used as an insecticide. Currently not known to be intentionally produced. Production ceased in Europe in 1970s, and all applications since there ceased, though specific information is lacking for the current situation and for the last 30 years. Unintentional production of this chemical, generation of this chemical is in the production of chlorinated hydrocarbons and magnesium and information processes are possible. The draft risk management evaluation is set out in POPRC9/5, and the compilation of comments on the draft and the responses to the comments by the intersectional working group is in 7. The agenda item 6 is on consideration of draft risk profile of pentachlorophenol, its salts and esters. At the last POPRC, the committee considered the draft risk profile and applied the NXP criteria and considered that the NXP criteria and considered that NXD criteria and considered that while PCP, that is pentachlorophenol molecule itself, does not meet all the screening criteria, pentachlorophenol and its salts and esters meet the screening criteria, taking into account the transformation product of pentachloroanisole. The activities undertaken during the last intersectional period is very much similar to that of the previous agenda item, that is development of the draft risk management evaluation, establishment of ad hoc working group, and then considering information from parties and observers and developing the draft profile. And this will be considered at the next POPRC to see whether it meets any key criteria. We look at this chemical pentachlorophenol, and historically pentachlorophenol was produced and used as a wood preservative with a variety of other uses as biocides, pesticides, etc. Currently, the only known reported use for PCP is for wood preservation. Transformation products and metabolites of other organochlorines such as hexachlorobenzene, lignin, and quinine is possible. And PCA, pentachloroanisole, is a transformation product of pentachlorophenol. However, it is not used as a commercial chemical or pesticide, and is not intentionally released directly into the environment. It is generated in environmental processes in the presence of various conditions, with PCP being one of the chemicals that could generate PCA. The draft risk profile with node bisected is set out in POPRC9. Additional information that was made available for consideration during the development of this draft document is set out in Unit 7, and compilation of comments on the draft and responses to the comments are set out in Unit 9. Under agenda item 7, there are two chemicals that will be made available for consideration by the committee that were proposed as new chemicals to be considered under the convention. The first one, of course, is decabromo diphenyl ether, and this was proposed by Norway. And this is actually a synthetic mixture of polybrominated diphenyl ether with the main component being the fully brominated congener, that is decabromo diphenyl ether. Widely used as an additive flame retardant in textile and plastics. The proposal itself by Norway is contained in POPRC9/2 document, and the Secretariat verification whether the proposal contains anything information is available in POPRC9 in A. Agenda item 7 continues with the other new chemical, that is dicofol, that was proposed by the European Union. It comprised two isomers, para-prime dicofol and para-prime dicofol, that has multicidal pesticide uses as well as acaticide uses in many countries, and the proposal is contained in POPRC9/3, and again the Secretariat verification whether the proposal contains any information is available in A. Additional information related to dicofol can also be found in some of the documents generated during the last POPRC, that is POPRC8/8 and POPRC8/13, where the documents were developed under the screening assessment of POPs screening committee related to the alternatives to endosulfan. The agenda item 8 has several technical work that is related to the persistent POP review committee. One of the items that will be considered under this work, this is going to be the process for the evaluation of PFOS, its roles and PFOS as pursuant to paragraph 5 and 6 of part 3 of the Annex B to the convention. As you may know, it is already included in the convention, and the continued need for this chemical needs to be evaluated by the consultative parties, for which during the last consultative party a process was adopted and requested the POP review committee to undertake an assessment of alternatives to PFOS in order to facilitate the evaluation by the consultative parties on the need for PFOS. The draft terms of reference for the assessment of alternatives is set out in the annex of the note by the Secretariat in the document POPRC9/7, and the draft format for the submission of information for this assessment by the parties and observers is set out in POPRC9 in 10. The next agenda item under technical work is guidance on alternatives to PFOS, and PFOS, and their related chemicals. As you may know, there is guidance already available for alternatives, and during the last POP committee, this document was reviewed, and the committee established an ad hoc working group to work on additional information that is available to revise this guidance document, and accordingly the ad hoc working group worked on this during the period. And the draft guidance document is available for consideration by the committee at the next meeting in 11, and compilation of comments on the draft is available on Intel. Continuing on the same agenda item, there's another sub-item on this one, that is the approach to evaluation of chemicals in accordance with Annex E to the Stockholm Convention. Discussion paper was considered during the last POPRC on this agenda item, and established an ad hoc working group to further develop this discussion paper, considering comments and information provided by parties, and also to further improve the document. Document itself is available in the IN 13, and the comments and compilation of comments regarding the discussion paper is available in 14. In addition to this agenda, as part of this agenda item, there will be another short presentation by the chair of the Interinstitutional Working Group on short chain coordinated therapies, giving a short summary on the information submitted during the intersessional period for the information of the committee. The last agenda item on the agenda item, sub-agenda item, that is guidance on how to assess possible impact of climate change on the work of the committee. The committee considered the draft document during the last POPRC and established an ad hoc working group to undertake further work on this document, and the draft is now set out in 15 of POPRC9, and possible action including annexes are set out in POPRC9/10, with Annex 1 into the draft approach to consider the climate change interactions with the chemicals proposed policy, and Annex 2 containing the draft recommendations developed on the basis of the guidance for consideration. Comments again can be on the draft can be seen in 16. Finally, there will be a couple of side events. On Monday, there will be a side event on alternatives to HBCD, and on Tuesday, there will be a side event during the lunchtime again on the report by the World Health Organization on endocrine disruptors, and on Friday, oxygen articles. Thank you for listening to my part of the presentation, and now passing the floor over to my colleague.
Thank you, Gary, for your presentation. We now will go forward with the Paul White's presentation. Paul, the floor is yours.
Good morning, participants, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I will be making the presentation on the 9th meeting of the It will be held at the headquarters of the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome from the 22nd to the 25th.
Dear participants, we're having a small issue with Paul Wiley's audio. We're just currently changing it, and he'll go forward with his presentation. Thank you.
Put it on you. All right, son. You have to put it on you. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, great. First, let me apologize for the problems we're having with the sound. I think we now have resolved it, so I will continue with the presentation. Okay, I think we are now settled. The meeting will be held over 4 days rather than the normal 5 days, because the Bureau felt that there was very limited agenda items, and so the meeting was reduced by a day. I will be just providing an overview of the agenda. So at the end of the presentations, if you have any questions, any queries, please feel comfortable to ask. Firstly, let me give you a quick review of the Chemical Review Committee. It was established by the Conference of the Parties as a subsidiary body, and it consists of 31 independent scientific experts from across all the UN regions. These experts analyze information received from notifications of final regulatory action taken by parties on each particular chemical. They analyze also the information received on the effects of severely hazardous pesticide formulation that's received from a proposal from a party, and this SHPF is used on the local conditions in the jurisdiction of the party. It then recommends to the conference of the parties on whether to list a chemical or a severely hazardous pesticide formulation in the convention. The first item on the agenda is the review of the outcomes of the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Rotterdam Convention, and also the second simultaneous extraordinary meetings of the conferences of the parties to the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Conventions. Of course, that is relevant to the work of the committee. And this agenda item will be presented by the Secretariat. Then the committee will look at the rotation of the membership. The current chair for the CRC, Ms. Hala Sultan Saif Al Eassa from Qatar. Her term will finish in April of 2014, and therefore the Bureau will meet and nominate a new chair, and that new chair will be endorsed by the committee, and the person will take up office on May 1 of 2014. The nomination will then be put before the Conference of the Parties at its 7th meeting in 2015 for ratification. Currently, there are 17 new members that have been nominated, and their term will also begin on the 1st of May 2014 and will run until the 30th of April 2018. And these nominations will also be fully endorsed by the Conference of the Parties at the 7th meeting. The technical work before the committee. The first is a consideration of the draft decision guidance document for trichlorophon. This DGD is being prepared based on the decision of the committee at its last meeting to recommend to the Conference of the Parties to list trichlorophon. And this decision guidance document hopefully will be approved by the committee and will go along with the recommendation for listing trichlorophon to the next meeting of the Conference of the Parties. Secondly, there are a number of chemicals up for review. The notification of final regulatory action. One is cyhexatin, and cyhexatin, the notifications came from Brazil and Canada. And in the preliminary review of this chemical, only one notification was found to have met Annex 2 criteria. This preliminary review was done by the Bureau of the committee. Lead arsenate, and this is another pesticide. The two notifications came from Japan and Peru, but none of these notifications was found to meet Annex 2 criteria. Then methamidophos, which is another pesticide, and this notification, the two notifications came from Brazil and the European Union, and both notifications were found to meet Annex 2 criteria. Additional information is before the committee on pentachlorobenzene. this chemical was before the committee at its 7th meeting, and the 2 notifications came from Japan and Canada. The notification from Canada was found to have met Annex 2, but the notification from Japan did not. Japan has now submitted additional information, which the committee will consider as whether the notification now meets the criteria for Annex 2. I just want to mention that there's one other industrial chemical before the committee, and that's lead carbonate, with notifications from Latvia and Jordan, but none of these notifications in the preliminary review by the Bureau were found to meet Annex 2 criteria. Finally, we have a proposal from Chad, the country of Chad in Africa, for the inclusion of Fenthion 640 ULV formulation as a severely hazardous pesticide formulation, the proposal for listing it in Annex 3. The preliminary review by the Bureau has found that this proposal meets the criteria for Part 3 of Annex 4 of the Convention, and therefore the committee will look at this preliminary review, and if it agrees, the recommendation will be made by the committee to the Conference of the Parties to list this pesticide formulation in Annex 3 of the Convention. Other items before the committee, there is a report on activities for effective participation in the work of the committee, and there was a workshop undertaken, webinars have been undertaken, and there has been an expressed effort to obtain the participation of designated national authorities and other entities in the work of the committee. And this request for effective participation was also endorsed by the joint conferences of the parties that took place earlier this year. Coordination and collaboration with other scientific subsidiary bodies is also on the table, and there is a proposal that was prepared by the chairs of both the POPRC and the CRC as to how these 2 bodies could, in fact, work closer together, especially in the area of sharing information. Finally, the dates and venue of the 10th meeting of the committee will be agreed upon at the meeting. Of course, there's always a possibility for other matters that could come before the committee. The report of the committee will be adopted based on the draft that is available for the first 3 days. And finally, there will be the closure of the meeting. That ends my presentation. I thank you very much for your participation, and I look forward to any queries, questions, or comments you may have at the end of the final presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for this presentation. We now will pass the floor to Ms. Kayono for her presentation on the joint CRC and POPRC meeting. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jack, for the introduction. My name is Kayono. I would like to give a presentation on the joint meeting of the Central Review Committee and the Project Review Committee. Hello? Thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to give a presentation on the joint meeting of the Chemical Review Committee.
Thank you very much, Dan, for the introduction. I would like to give a presentation on the joint meeting of the Chemical Review Committee and POPRC Review Committee to be held on Sunday, 20th of October. The participants to this meeting are the members of the committees and observers of both committees. The meeting will be in English only, starting from 9:30 in the morning until 12:30. The session of the morning part will be chaired by Ms. Halla, the CRC chair, and the afternoon session will be from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., chaired by Mr. Rainer Arndt, the chair of the POPRC Review Committee. During the lunch break, we are expecting to hold a side event on endosulfan to present and guidance for parties to consider POPRC and CRC outcomes as an example of the work, collaborative work done together with the POPRC Review Committee and Chemical Review Committee. The documents for the joint meeting are available on the website of the POPRC Review Committee and the CRC. I think it will be uploaded this afternoon or the latest by the end of this week. So please go visit the website and download it for your information. The agenda of the meeting, which was previously available as document number 1, has been revised. So there will be a Rev 1 to that document as presented in my slide showing now. The only change made for your attention is the item 4B. In this slide, you can see the second bullet points of number 2. Scientific information exchange relating to review of chemicals by CRC and POPRC Review Committee. Under this new item, there will be 3 topics to be presented by the members of the 2 committees so that the meeting can discuss and exchange scientific information and experiences already gained by the 2 committees. Just to go back to the agenda, after the opening formalities and adoption of the agenda, the 2 committees will first look at mandates and review processes under the 2 committees. There will be a presentation given by the POPRC chair and the CRC chair. The committees are to discuss and see what are the differences and similarities under the 2 committees. Then the next agenda item relating to the requests in the omnibus decisions taken at EXCOPS 2. First of that is alignment of the working arrangements of the CRC with those of the POPRC Review Committee. Then the next one on scientific information exchange, as I have already been explained on the 3 topics that would be presented. The first of the 3 will be on the identification and listing of chemicals. And the second will be relating to the contents and the processes of development of guidance documents, how the information generated in other committees or organizations can be incorporated in other technical documents will be looked at. The third one topic is on decision-making experiences by the 2 committees. After the scientific information exchange, there will be discussion on the identification of further steps to enhance the cooperation and coordination between CRC and POPRC Review Committee. The participants will be reminded that there was a document presented at ExCoPS2 as an information document prepared by the chairs of the 2 committees. This document in 17 of ExCoPS2 provides some proposals in the areas of cooperation. The committees will be invited to further discuss and identify any other areas or steps to enhance the cooperation and coordination. The last item is on development of guidance to assist parties to the Rotterdam Convention and the Chemical Review Committee in their work when a chemical under consideration is a POP listed under the Stockholm Convention. The main output expected from this item, as indicated in the annotated agenda of this meeting, is to establish a joint intersessional working group consist of members and observers of the 2 committees to develop a draft guidance document as requested by ExCoPS2 and agree on the work plan so that it could be reported back at the 7th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to take place in 2015 May. So those are the key agenda items. And in my next slide, the expected outcomes are listed. As you can see, there will be a couple of items which provide opportunities for information exchange and experience sharing between CRC and POPRC. After the discussions, the committees are expected to identify further steps to enhance the cooperation and coordination. And then, as I just mentioned, that the joint intersessional working group and the work plan would be agreed for the development of the guidances as requested by ExCoPS2. Thank you very much.